Hello and welcome to Mastering in the Box. In today's video I'm going to show you how to create a single master track inside a Studio One 5 Professional. Hello and welcome to Mastering in the Box. I'm your host Smudge, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to create a single master track inside of the project page in Studio One 5 Professional. But before we get into the contents of today's video, if you want to know more about digital mastering, then make sure you hit that subscribe button below and make sure you tick that bell and select all to receive notifications on all of our videos moving forward. And if you want to know more about some of the services I offer, including mastering or the mixing and mastering critiquing services, there'll be links in the description down below. Let's get into today's video. So here I have 4 tracks from an EP that I mastered for Nik Graveswell. Links in the description down below. Great artist, check him out. But I really want to show you how you can create one master track inside of the project page. But why do we want to create one master track? Well, if you were going for a vinyl release, for example, sometimes the vinyl cutting engineer may ask for one single master track. So in this particular example, we got track 1 to 4, and rather than sending 4 individual WAV files, they may request one full-length master file for the process of cutting the vinyl. So how do we do that in Studio One? Well, fortunately, this is very simple to do, and I'm going to show you how. But first and foremost, we need to save an alternative version of this track. So if I click on File and Save New Version, and I'm going to describe this as Digital Release. Why am I going to do that? Because we need to process these final 4 tracks slightly differently for the vinyl cutting engineer, but I want to make sure that I've got a snapshot in time. So if I want to do a digital release, I can come up here, click on this, and I can export it in WAV or FLAC or MP3 for the client, whatever they want to do. So I've now got a copy of that in time. Now the next stage here is if I come down to the actual waveforms itself, we can actually right click on one of the waveforms and click this option that says combine with next track. Simple. And then if we was to scroll in, we'll be able to see that we still retain all of the 2-second gaps in between the songs. So great, we've now got 2 tracks into one track. But it's not as simple as that, because all of the processing that we've done to track number 2 has now been taken away. So it's basically borrowing the processing that we've done to track 1 only. So if we click on the individual tracks, we've got different processing for each of the individual tracks. But where I've merged track 1 and 2, it's purely only taken the processing for track number 1. So if I undo that, and the way to get around this is to bounce all of the individual tracks. So if I go to track 1 up here, and if I right click, I can then click bounce track, and that's going to bounce the track including all of that individual processing for track number 1. And we're then going to repeat this 4 times and say this is something we really do need to do, because if we don't do this, then we're not going to get the full effect of the processing before we then create the single track. So I've now gone ahead and bounced all the individual tracks, and if I click through here, you'll see that the inserts have gone, except for the master insert. So the master insert will still apply to all of the 4 tracks globally, but the individual inserts have been bounced to the individual tracks. So now we can go into our individual waveforms, we can right click and combine with next track. And we'll do this to each of the tracks, and you'll then find that you will get a single WAV file for all 4 tracks. You will still have all of your spaces. So you can see here we've still got our spaces in between the tracks, but we now have one single WAV file for the project, which is going to be perfect for the vinyl cutting engineer to do what they need to do. Then all we then need to do here is click on digital release. We can go through and export it in whatever format we like. So that's all we need to do, and we can now send this off to the vinyl cutting engineer in the file format of their choice as a single master track. Simple. But what happens then if the vinyl cutting engineer comes back and says, I think we need to make a little tweak and a little tweak here and a little tweak there? What do we do? Well, that is simple. We just go back to the original project. So if I minimize the Studio One here and go into our Studio One files in the projects, vinyl preparation project. If I then go into history, I then have the digital release file right here. So if I double click on the digital release file, wait for it to load up for 2 seconds, and if I reopen Studio One, there we are. We're back to the original digital release. I can then make some adjustments as the vinyl cutting engineer sees fit. I can then re-go through, rebounce the tracks, combine them, and then export as a single WAV file again. Simple as that. So that's it for this week's video, and it's a relatively short one, but this is something that comes up every now and again on the Studio One Facebook page, and it's something that I really wanted to cover. So if you get to a situation where you want to do a vinyl release yourself, or if you have a client that comes to you and they want to release their tracks or their EP or album on vinyl, and the cutting engineer wants a single master track, then this is the best way to do it. So don't forget to save a version first, then you want to bounce the individual tracks so it renders the processing to the track itself. You then want to combine the tracks with each other, so you right click on the waveform, click combine with next track, and then when you have your single waveform or your single master file, you can then export it in the file format of the cutting engineer's choice. Simple as that. I hope you found this useful, and if you do want to know more about digital mastering, then make sure you hit that subscribe button below and make sure you tick that bell and select all to receive notifications on all of our videos moving forward. And if you do want to know more about some of the services that I offer, which are either mastering services or mix and mastering critiquing service, there'll be links in the description down below. And if you also want to support the channel, now I'll leave links of where you can support the channel through buymeacoffee.com. So thanks very much for your support, and all that's left for me to say is I hope you'll keep safe and well, and I'll see you in the next video coming real soon.